This is Mr. Wiggle. He lives in a little house over here. This is Mr. Waggle. He lives in a little house over here. One day, Mr. Wiggle opened his door and came out. Oh, it's such a lovely day. I think I will go and visit my friend Mr. Waggle. So he closed his door and went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill until he came to Mr. Waggle's door. He knocked on the door. Mr. Waggle was down in the basement, sorting his potatoes, so he didn't hear Mr. Wiggle when he knocked on the door. Oh, Mr. Waggle must not be at home, said Mr. Wiggle. I think I'll go back home. So he went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill. He opened the door and went in and closed the door. Oh! But he was so tired that he had to lie down and take a nap. Meanwhile, Mr. Waggle finished sorting his potatoes and he came up. He opened the door and came out. Oh, what a lovely day! I think I'll go and visit my friend Mr. Wiggle. So he closed his door. He went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill until he came to Mr. Wiggle's house. He knocked on the door, but Mr. Wiggle was taking a nap and didn't hear him when he went knock, knock, knock. So Mr. Waggle thought Mr. Wiggle must not be at home, so he thought, I'll go home. So he went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill until he came to his house. He opened the door and went in. Meanwhile, Mr. Wiggle finished his nap. Oh, I do wish I could see my good friend Mr. Waggle. Mr. Waggle thought, I wish I could see my friend Mr. Wiggle. I'll try again. So each of them opened their doors, closed their doors, and they went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill. They met in the middle. Oh, hello, Mr. Waggle. I was on my way to see you. Oh, well, Mr. Wiggle, I was on my way to see you. I came to see you earlier, but you weren't at home. Oh, that must have been while I was in the basement sorting potatoes. I came to see you, but you weren't home. That must have been when I was taking a nap. Well, come on over to my house now. So they went up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill until they came to Mr. Waggle's house. They opened the door and went in. They had such a lovely time. They had tea and crumpets with lemon curd and fresh butter. It was delicious. Then it was time for Mr. Wiggle to go home. So They opened the door and came out. Mr. Waggle waved at Mr. Wiggle, went up the hill and down the hill, and up the hill and down the hill, and up the hill and down the hill, and up the hill and down the hill, until he came to his house. Then each of them opened their doors and went into their houses and closed their doors. And that's the story of Mr. Wiggle and Mr. Waggle. Bye-bye!